Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. From websites and online stores, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence. As some of you might know, Squarespace is a very versatile platform to host your blog, your portfolio, your shop. In my case, I use it as a secret Patreon shop for my patrons to shop previous rewards. And what's great about it is that it is got so many flexible payment options from credit card to PayPal, Apple Pay, and you can also hook it up to Square Reader. So if you do in-person events, it'll keep track of your inventory. So it makes everything super seamless and saves you time on having to recount your products and relist them in your shop. So if you're interested in launching your own website, head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/I'mAWonder for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Hello friends, I hope that you've been well. In today's video, we are going to be working on a sketchbook's travel page. And currently, I'm not the type of person to bring my sketchbook when I travel, but much like these monthly favorite spreads, I think it would be nice to be able to do some kind of scrapbooking thing with the bits of memorabilia that I have from my trips. And so as an example, we're going to be using my trip to Japan last year as our launching point. So the sketchbook that I've landed on for this travel sketchbook journal project is this sketchbook here, which is handmade by a follower actually. So they are a subscriber to my YouTube channel. They sent this to my PO box quite a while ago and I haven't gotten the chance to use it yet. So this is so perfect. Thank you so much to Alyssa, aka Creative Phenomenon Art, for sending this to me. If you take a look at the cover here, there's words about travel, exploring, adventure, destination. It's literally perfect. And not only that, but also the size I think is great because it's not huge if I want to actually travel with it, but it's not so small that like receipts and ticket stubs and photos and illustrations are going to swallow up the page. And then also because it's perfect bound, I can do like a full spread across both pages as opposed to a spiral bound where it's being interrupted by the coil binding in the center. And the paper itself has like a nice kind of mixed media weight to it, so it can handle the collaging, the paint, and whatever that I decide to do with it. And then the other items that I'm going to be kind of using that I pulled out here, I have this little notebook here that I took with me during the trip. And it got a little wet from the rain, unfortunately, but when you're in Japan, at the subway stops, a lot of the stations have this little stamp area where you can stamp these unique designs for each station. So we can see there's Harajuku. This was Nara, where the wild deer are. And then this is a little box of pretty much all of the kind of paper pieces of media that I had during the trip that I collected. So we have a couple of flyers. This was the Toei Kyoto Studio Park. I specifically went to this last minute because they had a gigantic Evangelion exhibit. It's unbelievable. Like, I love that we found that by accident, just like taking the subway somewhere, and it was so cool. And then of course I went to the Ghibli Museum. I will say these pamphlets are quite large, even with this kind of bigger sketchbook. Like, it takes up a lot of space, so I don't think I will probably include these unless I want to cut them up, but honestly they feel a little too special, especially this Ghibli one. So those ones I might just sort of keep as keepsakes, but I have lots of business cards, of course. I have a lot of receipts from all of my purchases. Some of these are not very, exciting visually, but a few of them have some really cute little details that I would like to include. This was a bubble tea shop, I believe, that we went to. All of my Disney receipts, of course, have the little kind of Disney insignia on the top, which is fun. I, of course, love this one. This was one of my favorite places that we went to in Harajuku. It was this clothing store called Hey Hey, I think is how you'd pronounce it. And it even came with the fabric swatches from the shirt, which I think is such a fun and unique thing to include. Okay, so I think these receipts are not nearly as exciting. So I've separated kind of the more interesting ones based off of the colors, the significance of the thing, the logos, whichever. And then lastly, I'm not going to use these just because they're a little bit too special, but I just wanted to show them off. This was some postcards that I purchased when we went up the shrine, one of the shrines in Kyoto, and they have 2 cats, resident cats there. So I thought it was really cute that they had these postcards for each of the cats, and we actually got to see both of the cats while we were there, which was pretty magical. So some of the other items I decided I want to use for this sketchbook spread is I am going to bust out my old jelly gouache, which I haven't touched in probably over a year, clearly all dried up, but you can just reactivate it with water. So I'll be using them in like a kind of more watercolory diluted way. Of course, I'm going to be using a bunch of washi tape and even one of my own washi tapes that I sell in my shop with the Japanese treats here, which feel very fitting. I also have a bunch of really adorable stamps that I never use, which I'm excited to get some use out of. I have a buttload of Chiogami paper, and some of them are just like teeny little scraps, which I think will be perfect to just fill in some areas on the spread. I also have this random adhesive sticker paper that I never use, so this is also perfect for adding in some additional filler kind of colored areas. And because I'm in my mixed media era, I will also be using some colored pencils as well. So I think my vision for this is going to be, first I'm going to do, I think, this side featuring all of my Harajuku kind of things. And that day I also picked up this Skull Panda blind box item from Pop Mart, so I think it'll be fun to illustrate this character somewhere on here as well. And that day we also went to Yokohama, the Chinatown, and we had some yummy food, so I think that could be fun to illustrate. And so I'm just trying to figure out the best way to arrange the setup here. So for the stamps, this one is for Harajuku, so that's easy. I'm gonna rip them out, I think, and then I can cut them. This was from a totally different day, but I think because it's red, I think it'll go nicely with the hey. Oh, I remember this business card was from a dress that I bought when I was in Harajuku as well. And the blue actually will look nice with these stamps. And then maybe I include this random drugstore receipt to tie in with the blue. Let's cut these down a little bit. And then after selecting the key pieces of paper media that I wanted to include, I started to roughly rearrange the items on the left side of the page here, keeping in mind that I wanted to try and carry the blue and the red color scheme throughout the 2 spreads, and also that I wanted to allow some room for some illustrations as well. So you can see with that blue receipt, I actually ripped it in half, since the receipt itself, the actual contents wasn't that important, but I think that tearing the paper as opposed to cutting it in certain areas gives it that like kind of more interesting texture and the kind of scrapbooking look. And of course, you got to go with some fun washi tape to adhere some of these pieces. And the nice thing about using washi tape over glue stick for certain pieces of media is you can rearrange them easier, since the washi tape adhesive isn't as strong and can be reserved for items that you're a little bit more precious about. And you can see that with the actual fabric pieces, I actually stapled them in since tape or glue wasn't going to be strong enough for it. And then for that last receipt, I actually glued it across the two spreads on the bottom there. That way it could carry the spread to one another and make them feel slightly more cohesive as opposed to them feeling disconnected from each other. And after I pasted everything down on that first page, I started to draw in myself, basically a little outfit of the day drawing, wearing the t-shirt that I bought from the Harajuku clothing store Hei Hei. And since we were traveling super light, this was an outfit that I wore throughout the trip a number of times. So here's some reference photos that I used. And I had this really cute green pleated skirt and this little chimmy purse that basically just barely fit my phone. And now I'm going in with the jelly gouache. I have not used jelly gouache in probably over a year, so it's completely dried up, but thankfully I'm able to use water to reactivate it. And I'm not creating any serious rendering with this. I just want to use the gouache to add some color and do some very light washes throughout the illustration here. So starting out with the skin, adding in some little blush tone areas, and basically just doing flat washes of color over all of the areas. But let me know in the comments if you would like to see me do a full revisit review of the jelly gouache all dried up, since it's been so long since I've last used them. And yeah, I thought that they would be appropriate for this since I wasn't going to be doing a ton of layering or rendering, just wanted to do like light washes of color. But let me know if you want a full-blown review about them again now that they've all dried up, because they definitely perform a lot differently when they're dried up as opposed to when they're fresh in their jelly consistency. But yeah, with the illustrations here on this sketchbook spread, I wanted to keep them really simple and really dig into using the colored pencils as well, since I've been really enjoying using mixed media. And I think the really nice thing with scrapbooking is the variety of textures. And for me, I think that color pencil really does bring a unique kind of texture to a sketchbook spread. And I've been really enjoying using colored pencils as line art as well, especially this ultramarine blue. It's so satisfying to use. And that little blue card holder there, it's actually a photo card holder that I had with me the entire time during the trip to put my little K-pop boy photos into, and it sounds so ridiculous because it is, but I ended up talking to a bunch of people throughout the trip who were also K-pop fans. Even though there was a serious language barrier, it was truly so wholesome to see how K-pop just like transcended languages essentially. And of course I decided to use the stamps and add in a little cute background to fill out the page here. And before we move on to the second half of the sketchbook spread, I just wanted to take a moment to mention that I added a couple of sketchbook sessions to my retreat to South Korea. For those of you who don't know, I teamed up with TrovaTrip to go on a group retreat with some of you to Korea. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be there for an entire week and checking out all the things that Seoul and Busan have to offer, such as amazing architecture, incredible food, lots of shopping, and more, but also with the added bonus of some little art dates. So my vision for this is that it'll be a lot like my live streams. So essentially we'll just have our sketchbooks, we'll go to a cafe, or we'll go to a park and just have a little art session. And I feel like with my live streams, it just feels like we're hanging out with friends. The vibes are immaculate. I have so much fun just like talking art and fandom and just like getting to know you guys. So I think it would be so much fun to be able to do that in person on top of getting to travel around in Korea. So I would absolutely love to have you as my travel buddy. All of the details about the trip will be in the description down below, but basically, it's going to be 1 week from September 25th to October 1st. We'll be going to Seoul and Busan, and we're going to have a tour guide with us the entire time. So if you've ever been worried about not knowing the language of somewhere you're traveling to, you didn't know how to build, an activity list, you're worried about the transit system, you didn't have anyone to go with, like Trova Trip just is like a full package deal so that it makes traveling so much easier for you. And you get to hang out with little old me and, meet some incredible people with like very like-minded vibes because, again, that's the sense that I get with my live streams. So anyways, I would love to have you, link in the description, and I hope to see you there. And in terms of the actual sketchbook sessions during the trip, I have 2 scheduled in specifically, one on the 4th day for the evening, and then on the final full day, we're having a picnic in the park. So that'll be a perfect place to have another sketchbook session. If we have time for more, we can definitely throw some more in. I just wanted to keep the schedule not super, super tight, just to give us room for flexibility and potentially be spontaneous. And so with today's video, with the outfit of the day drawings, the business cards, the ticket stubs, I think that will be the perfect thing to collect throughout the trip. And on that final day, we can all sort of reminisce about what we got up to, our favorites and our highlights throughout the trip, and then make a sketchbook spread of all the Korea stuff that we got up to. I think it'll be such a nice commemorative thing to have for the trip, and also a way for us to be creative together. And in line with that, I also want to curate bundles, little like arts and craft bundles for you guys, for you to use on the trip and to take home with you. And so when I was in Vancouver, my friend and I popped by this Korean stationery K-pop store, and I actually picked up a whole bunch of really adorable stickers that I want to include in these little art bundles for you guys, which I think will be perfect to decorate your sketchbook spreads with. And yeah, I think it'll be adorable and super, super fun. And of course, I'm open to other drawing kind of date ideas for the other sketchbook session as well. We don't have to work on a travel sketchbooks page like this, but I think it's a great idea or launching point for that last day especially. And to discuss what's actually going on the screen right now. So this is the dress that I bought when I was in Harajuku. That blue business card was the place that I got it from. And while this was not the actual outfit I wore when I was in Japan, I decided to go with this outfit that I wore wearing that dress because I feel like this fit is a little bit more interesting. But I did wear that dress throughout the trip as well, as seen in this silly little clip here of me under a cherry blossom tree, because when we went to Japan, it was during cherry blossom season. And so every time I saw a blooming tree, I had to get a photo of it or with it. And yeah, this outfit that I ended up making for myself after the fact was just quintessential me, in my opinion. I love wearing black. I love mixing different textures of black. And this aesthetic is just so fun. This kind of like gothy but preppy look at the same time. Something that was noted during my Japan trip was the people I was with. They were saying that they were super glad that I was coming along because they joked that they were really bad at documenting themselves and the things that they got up to during a trip. And it's one of those things where you have to make that balance of documenting your trip so that you have those memories to look back on, but also enjoying the moment. And I think that we as a group going to Korea can definitely strike that balance of, we can like start a little Google Drive or something and share all of our photos. That way we are able to both have an amazing time, but also have those documented memories of all the things that we got up to, because time moves so quickly when you're traveling. So it's nice to just have that physical documentation. And while this was definitely out of my comfort zone, I think that this travel journal spread turned out really cute, and I'm excited to do more, and hopefully that we can do one together when we are in Korea traveling around. So hit the link in the description for all of the details about the Trova trip to Korea. I would love to have you. I think it'll be so much fun. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up today's video. I hope that you enjoyed seeing little tidbits of my Japan trip. If you haven't seen those vlogs, I have them on my channel if you want to see more. And of course, I hope that this gave you some ideas for your own travel sketchbook journals for past or future trips. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing day or evening wherever you're at, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!